The sleek silver vessel of the Zentari Diplomatic Corps glided through Earth's upper atmosphere. Inside the ship, Ambassador Crix studied the data scrolling across his holographic display. His 4 eyes blinked in confusion at what his scanners showed. "This cannot be correct," he said to his second-in-command, Vex. "Run the scan again." Vex touched the controls with her delicate fingers. The results remained unchanged. "The readings are accurate, Ambassador. There are millions of apex predators residing within human population centers." Crix's pale blue skin shifted to a deeper shade, showing his unease. In all their travels across the galaxy, the Zentari had never encountered a species that willingly lived alongside creatures designed by evolution to kill. "Perhaps their containment systems are so advanced we cannot detect them," Vex suggested. "No," Crix replied, studying the scans more closely. "These predators appear to be integrated into their living spaces. Some are even sleeping in the same rooms as their young." The Zentari ship descended toward Colorado, following the coordinates provided by Earth's Diplomatic Corps. As they approached the research facility, both aliens noticed something that made them even more uncomfortable. The predators weren't confined at all. They moved freely through streets, parks, and homes. Dr. Lisa Morgan waited on the landing pad, her white lab coat flapping in the wind created by the ship's engines. She had spent months preparing for this moment. First contact with an alien species was humanity's greatest dream and greatest challenge. Beside her stood Jake Collins, a tall security officer with broad shoulders and kind eyes. His German shepherd, Scout, sat perfectly still at his side, ears perked forward with interest as the alien ship touched down. Lisa approached as the ship's door opened with a soft hiss. Ambassador Crix and Vex emerged, moving with the fluid grace common to their species. Both wore environmental suits that shimmered with protective energy fields. "Welcome to Earth," Lisa said with a warm smile. "I'm Dr. Lisa Morgan, lead xenobiologist. For this facility," Crix activated his universal translator. "Ambassador Crix of the Zentari Federation. This is my aide, Vex." His attention immediately shifted to Scout. "You have brought a predator to our meeting?" "This is Scout," Jake said, placing his hand gently on the dog's head. "He's part of our security team." Both aliens took a step backward. Scout's powerful jaw, sharp teeth, and muscular build were clearly visible. "Everything about the animal," screamed Predator. "Please do not be alarmed," Lisa said quickly. "Scout is highly trained and completely safe." "Safe?" Vex's translator conveyed her disbelief. "Our scans show this creature possesses enough bite force to crush bone. Its ancestors hunted in packs to bring down prey many times their size." Scout tilted his head at the sound of the alien voices, his tail giving a single wag. "All true," Jake agreed. "But that was a long time ago. Would you like to meet him properly?" The aliens exchanged uncertain glances. In their culture, approaching a predator was considered either foolishness or suicidal behavior. "I assure you there's no danger," Lisa said. "Understanding our relationship with animals like Scout is crucial to understanding humanity." Crix straightened his posture. As an ambassador, he had faced many challenging situations. He would not let fear prevent him from learning about these strange humans. "Very well," he said. "How do we proceed?" Jake crouched beside Scout. "First, let him smell your hand. Hold it out slowly, palm down." Crix extended his hand with obvious reluctance. Scout sniffed it carefully, his wet nose twitching. After a moment, he gave the alien's fingers a gentle lick. "He's tasting me?" Crix jerked his hand back. Jake chuckled. "No, that's how dogs show they accept you. It's a friendly gesture." "Your predator shows acceptance by licking?" Vex sounded baffled. Lisa nodded. "Dogs have been our companions for over 30,000 years. They've evolved alongside us." "But why?" Crix asked. "Why would you choose to live with creatures capable of killing you?" "Because they choose to protect us instead," Jake replied. He gave Scout a command, and the dog immediately lay down, rolling onto his back to expose his belly. "This is a sign of complete trust. He's showing you his most vulnerable area." The alien stared at the large predator lying peacefully on the yaw ground, his tongue lolling out in a happy expression. "Shall we continue our tour inside?" Lisa suggested. "I think you'll find our other resident predators equally surprising." As they walked toward the facility, Scout padded quietly beside Jake. The aliens kept glancing at the dog, clearly expecting it to suddenly revert to its predatory nature. Inside the research center, they encountered Dr. Amy Patel in one of the laboratories. A sleek gray cat sat on her desk, watching the newcomers with bright green eyes. "Ah, perfect timing," Amy said. "Ambassador Crix, Vex, I'd like you to meet Luna." "Another predator," Vex observed. "Though smaller than the canine." Luna stretched lazily, then jumped down from the desk. She walked directly to the aliens, her tail held high. "Careful," Crix warned his aide. "These creatures are known for their hunting skills." Luna rubbed against Crix's leg, purring loudly. The ambassador froze. "She's marking you with her scent," Amy explained. "It's a sign of affection and acceptance." "Affection?" Crix remained perfectly still as Luna continued to wind around his legs. "From a predator?" "Cats were originally drawn to human settlements because we attracted rodents to our grain stores," Lisa said. "Over time, the relationship evolved into something much deeper." Luna suddenly flopped onto her side at Crix's feet, exposing her belly just as Scout had done. "This behavior," Vex said slowly. "It's not natural for a predator, is it?" "It's completely natural for a predator that trusts you," Amy replied, reaching down to scratch Luna's belly. The cat purred even louder. The tour continued through the facility. In the cafeteria, they observed people eating while dogs lay peacefully under tables. In the residential wing, they saw cats sleeping on beds and dogs playing with children in the courtyard. "Your entire species coexists with predators," Crix said, his tone reflecting both amazement and confusion. "We detected millions of them in your cities. How do you prevent attacks?" "We don't prevent them because they rarely happen," Jake answered. "These animals see us as family, not prey." "But surely accidents occur. Their instincts must sometimes override this conditioning." Lisa shook her head. "It's not conditioning, it's a genuine bond. Dogs and cats have evolved to read human emotions, to understand our body language, even to recognize our facial expressions." As if to demonstrate, Scout suddenly pressed against Jake's leg and whined softly. Jake looked down, then smiled. "He knows I'm getting hungry," Jake explained. "It's almost lunchtime, and he can tell from subtle changes in my behavior." "The predator is concerned about your well-being?" Vex asked incredulously. "Of course, we take care of each other." They entered a large meeting room where Dr. Nathan Brooks waited with a presentation prepared. "Before we begin," Nathan said, "I'd like you to observe something." He pressed a button and a video played on the wall screen. It showed a large dog lying next to a sleeping baby. The dog's eyes were alert, watching the room. When someone approached, the dog lifted its head slightly, assessed the person, then relaxed again. "This is typical behavior," Nathan explained. "The dog has accepted the infant as part of its pack. It will protect that child with its life if necessary." "Fascinating," Crix murmured. "In our society, we would never allow a predator near our young." "That's exactly what I hope to help you understand today," Nathan replied. "Please take a seat. I'd like to share the history of how humanity's greatest predators became our most loyal friends." As the aliens settled into their chairs, Scout lay down at Jake's feet while Luna jumped onto Amy's lap. Both predators seemed completely at ease, their ancient hunting instincts transformed into something the Zentari were only beginning to comprehend. The presentation was about to begin, promising to unveil one of humanity's most remarkable achievements, turning nature's killers into beloved family members through trust, patience, and mutual affection. The outdoor demonstration area behind the research facility was a wide expanse of grass bordered by trees. The morning sun cast long shadows across the field as Jake led Scout outside, followed closely by the alien delegation. "What we're about to show you might seem alarming at first," Lisa warned Ambassador Crix and Vex. "Please remember that everything you see is controlled and safe. Jake reached into his pocket and pulled out a bright yellow tennis ball. Immediately, Scout's entire demeanor changed. His muscles tensed, his eyes locked onto the ball, and his tail began wagging rapidly. "Observe the predatory focus," Crix whispered to Vex. "The creature has entered hunting mode." Jake threw the ball with considerable force. It arced high into the air before bouncing across the grass. Scout exploded into motion, his powerful legs propelling him forward at incredible speed. The aliens instinctively stepped backward. Scout's running form displayed the perfect efficiency of a hunting predator. Every stride covered maximum distance with minimal effort. His jaws opened slightly as he closed in on his target. "This is exactly what our species has learned to fear," Vex said, her voice tight with anxiety. The speed, the single-minded pursuit, the preparation to bite. Scout caught up to the ball, snatched it from the ground with precision, and immediately turned back toward Jake. His return run was just as fast, just as focused. "Now watch what happens next," Lisa said softly. Scout skidded to a stop in front of Jake and dropped the ball at his feet. His tail wagged furiously, and he looked up at Jake with what could only be described as pure joy. "Again?" Jake asked, picking up the ball. Scout barked once, a happy sound that made both aliens flinch. "The predator wants to repeat the hunt?" Crix asked, confused. "It's not hunting," Jake explained. "It's playing. For Scout, this is fun. The chase instinct has been transformed into a game." He threw the ball again, and Scout raced after it with the same enthusiasm. But why would a predator play? Vex wondered aloud. In nature, energy conservation is crucial. Wasting energy on non-productive activities could mean death. Amy Patel joined them, holding Luna in her arms. "That's exactly the point. Our animal companions don't need to hunt for survival anymore. We provide their food, shelter, and safety. Their predatory instincts have been redirected into play, protection, and companionship." She set Luna down on the grass. The cat immediately crouched low, her tail twitching as she watched a butterfly flutter past. "Watch this," Amy said. She pulled a small toy mouse on a string from her pocket and tossed it a few feet away. Luna pounced with lightning speed, capturing the toy mouse in her claws. She rolled onto her back, kicking at it with her hind legs while biting gently. "The killing bite," Crix observed. "But applied to an inanimate object." "Exactly," Amy nodded. "Cats still have all their hunting instincts, but they satisfy them through play. It keeps them mentally and physically healthy." Scout returned with the ball again, but this time, after dropping it, he flopped onto his back at Jake's feet, panting happily. "May I try?" Crix asked hesitantly. Jake smiled and handed him the ball. "Just throw it as far as you can." The ambassador examined the ball carefully before launching it across the field. Scout leaped up and chased after it with the same enthusiasm he had shown before. "He responds to me as readily as to you," Crix noted with surprise. "Scout loves to play with anyone who's willing," Jake said, "though he's always more protective of people he knows well." When Scout returned this time, he dropped the ball at Crix's feet and looked up expectantly. The alien ambassador found himself looking into the dog's brown eyes, seeing intelligence and eagerness rather than the cold calculation of a predator. "Your turn, Vex," Crix said, picking up the ball. As the morning progressed, both aliens took turns throwing the ball for Scout, who never seemed to tire of the game. Luna occasionally chased the ball too, though she preferred to ambush it from hiding spots in the grass. "I have a question," Vex said after her fifth throw. "We've observed that these animals could easily harm you. Scout's jaws could crush bone. Luna's claws could cause serious injury. Why do they choose not to?" Lisa sat down on a nearby bench, inviting the aliens to join her. "It's about the relationship we've built over thousands of years. These animals don't just see us as a source of food or shelter. They see us as family." "Family," Crix repeated. "But you're different species." "Family isn't always about biology," Amy explained, settling next to Lisa with Luna in her lap. "It's about bonds, trust, and mutual care. Dogs especially have evolved to form deep emotional connections with humans." Jake called Scout over, and the dog immediately trotted to his side. "Watch this," he said. He knelt down and wrapped his arms around Scout in a hug. The large dog leaned into the embrace, his tail wagging gently. In the wild, such close contact between predator and prey would be impossible, Jake said. But Scout doesn't see me as prey. He sees me as his person, his pack leader, his friend. And the feeling is mutual? Vex asked. Absolutely. I'd trust Scout with my life. In fact, I have, many times. Lisa pulled out her tablet and showed them a video. This is from last year. A hiker got lost in the mountains during a snowstorm. Scout was part of the search team. The video showed Scout moving through deep snow, his nose to the ground. Suddenly, he started barking and digging at a snowdrift. Rescue workers rushed over and uncovered an unconscious person buried in the snow. Scout saved that person's life, Jake said proudly. His sense of smell is thousands of times better than ours. He could detect the hiker under 3 feet of snow. So you've turned their predatory abilities to your advantage, Crix mused. Not turned, Lisa corrected. Partnered. We work together, each species bringing different strengths to the relationship. Amy lifted Luna and held her out toward Vex. Would you like to hold her? Vex hesitated. Is it safe? Perfectly safe. Just support her body and be gentle. Carefully, Vex accepted the cat. Luna settled into her arms and began purring. I can feel vibrations, Vex said, surprised. She's purring. Cats do that when they're content. Some scientists believe the frequency of a cat's purr can actually promote healing in humans. Vex looked down at Luna with new understanding. She's warm and soft. That's part of why we love them. Amy smiled. Physical contact with animals can lower our stress levels, reduce blood pressure, and even help with depression. Meanwhile, Crix was experiencing his own revelation. Scout had approached him and laid his head on the ambassador's knee. Almost instinctively, Crix began stroking the dog's fur. His fur is surprisingly pleasant to touch, Crix admitted, and he seems to enjoy this contact. Dogs are social animals, Jake explained. They crave physical affection just like we do. That's why they make such good companions for humans. As the demonstration continued, the aliens learned about other aspects of pet behavior. They watched Scout respond to various commands, saw Luna chase a laser pointer, and observed how both animals interacted with different people who passed through the area. I'm beginning to understand, Crix said finally. These aren't wild predators you've captured and contained, they're partners, companions, perhaps even friends. Exactly, Lisa beamed. And what you've seen today is just the beginning. The bond between humans and their animal companions goes much deeper than simple domestication. A bell chimed from the facility signaling lunchtime. Shall we head inside? Amy suggested. We have much more to show you, including the fascinating history of how these relationships developed. As they walked back to the building, Scout trotted beside Crix while Luna rode contentedly in Vex's arms. The aliens who had arrived in fear of Earth's predators were beginning to see them in an entirely new light. Inside, Nathan Brooks was waiting with a presentation that would forever change their understanding of interspecies relationships. But already, the seeds of comprehension had been planted through simple acts of play, trust, and affection. The morning had transformed their perspective from one of fear to curiosity, from apprehension to wonder. And the aliens were starting to realize that perhaps humanity's greatest achievement wasn't their technology or their cities, but their unique ability to turn nature's most efficient killers into loving family members. The briefing room was filled with comfortable chairs arranged in a semicircle facing a large display screen. Dr. Nathan Brooks stood at the front, adjusting his glasses as the alien delegation took their seats. Scout settled at Jake's feet while Luna curled up on a windowsill, bathing in the afternoon sun. Before we begin, Nathan said, I want you to imagine something. Picture yourself 50,000 years ago, huddled around a small fire in a cave. Outside, the night is full of dangers. Predators prowl in the darkness, waiting for a chance to attack. The aliens shifted uncomfortably. Such a scenario was familiar to their own species' history. Now, Nathan continued, imagine that one of those predators approaches your fire. But instead of attacking, it sits just outside the circle of light, watching. Night after night, it returns. Sometimes it warns you when other predators approach. Sometimes it helps you track wounded prey. He clicked a button, and the screen showed an artist's rendering of early humans and wolves sharing a kill. This is how it began, Nathan explained. Not with force or domination, but with mutual benefit. Early humans and wolves discovered they could be more successful together than apart. Ambassador Crix leaned forward. But how did you overcome the natural fear response? Both species must have been terrified of each other. Gradually, Nathan replied. It probably started with the boldest wolves and the most curious humans. Wolves would follow human hunting parties, scavenging the remains of kills. Humans noticed that wolves could track prey better than they could. The next image showed wolves and humans hunting together. Over generations, the relationship deepened. Wolves that were less aggressive toward humans had better access to food. Humans who worked with wolves had more successful hunts. Natural selection favored cooperation. But what about cats? Vex asked, glancing at Luna. They're solitary hunters. Why would they choose to live with humans? Nathan smiled and changed the slide. Cats came to us much later, around 12,000 years ago. When humans began farming and storing grain, we attracted rodents. Cats followed the rodents into our settlements. The image showed ancient granaries with cats prowling around them. Unlike dogs, cats essentially domesticated themselves. They didn't need us to survive, but they found our settlements convenient hunting grounds. Over time, they discovered that humans would provide food and shelter in exchange for pest control. Lisa added, the relationship with cats was more of a partnership of equals. They chose to stay with us, and we appreciated their company and hunting skills. Nathan clicked through several more slides showing the evolution of different dog breeds. As human societies became more complex, we bred dogs for specific purposes. Some became shepherds, others guards, some hunters, and some simply companions. Each breed represents thousands of years of selective breeding and trust building. But you no longer need them for these purposes, Crix pointed out. You have technology that can perform all these functions more efficiently. True, Nathan agreed. But by then, the bond had transcended utility. Dogs and cats had become part of our families, our emotional support systems. He showed a graph displaying the effects of pet ownership on human health. Studies have shown that people with pets live longer, have lower stress levels, and recover faster from illness. The simple act of petting a dog or cat releases oxytocin in both the human and the animal. Oxytocin? Vex asked. It's often called the love hormone, Amy explained. It's the same chemical that bonds mothers to their babies. When we interact with our pets, both species experience this bonding response. Nathan continued with his presentation, showing how service animals help people with disabilities, how therapy dogs comfort patients in hospitals, and how search and rescue dogs save lives after disasters. What about the dangers? Crix asked. Surely there must be incidents where these predators revert to their natural instincts. Rarely, Nathan admitted, and usually only when an animal has been abused or neglected. The vast majority of pet attacks occur because humans failed to understand or respect the animal's needs and boundaries. He showed statistics comparing pet-related injuries to other common hazards. You're more likely to be injured by falling downstairs than by a pet dog or cat. The benefits far outweigh the risks. Jake spoke up. It's also about understanding their language. Dogs and cats communicate differently than we do. Once you learn to read their signals, you can avoid most problems. Can you give us an example? Vex asked. Jake nodded and called Scout over. Watch his body language. He pointed to a toy on the floor. Scout's ears perked up, his tail started wagging, and he looked from Jake to the toy and back. He's asking permission to play, Jake explained. See how he's waiting for my signal? Jake nodded, and Scout immediately grabbed the toy. Now watch this. Jake approached Scout and reached for the toy. Scout's body went still, but his tail kept wagging slowly. He's showing me he wants to keep the toy but isn't threatened by my approach. If he were resource guarding, his body would be tense, and he might growl. So you've learned to interpret their signals, Crix observed. And they've learned to interpret ours, Lisa added. Dogs especially are incredible at reading human emotions and intentions. They can often sense when we're sad, sick, or afraid before we show obvious signs. Nathan showed a video of a dog alerting its owner to an oncoming seizure. Some dogs can detect medical conditions like low blood sugar in diabetics or upcoming seizures in epileptics. They warn their humans before symptoms appear. Remarkable, Crix murmured. They've become extensions of your own senses. In many ways, yes, Nathan agreed. But it goes beyond the practical. For many people, especially those living alone, pets provide essential emotional support. They combat loneliness, give us purpose, and offer unconditional love. He showed pictures of elderly people with their pets, children reading to dogs, and soldiers reuniting with their animals after deployment. The bond crosses all human cultures and social classes. Rich or poor, young or old, humans form these connections with animals. Amy shared a personal story. When my grandmother was dying of cancer, her cat Tom never left her side. He seemed to know she was sick and stayed with her constantly, providing comfort in her final days. They understand death? Vex asked, surprised. They understand loss and grief, Amy replied. When a family member dies, pets often show signs of mourning. They may search for the person, lose appetite, or become lethargic. Nathan concluded his presentation with a series of images showing the joy of human-animal relationships, children growing up with dogs, cats comforting their owners, and the simple pleasure of a pet greeting you at the door. What we've achieved with dogs and cats is unprecedented in nature, he said. Two predator species choosing to live in harmony, not just coexisting but forming deep emotional bonds. It's a testament to the power of trust, patience, and mutual understanding. As the lights came back on, Crix and Vex sat in thoughtful silence. Everything they had believed about predator-prey relationships had been challenged. Your species has accomplished something remarkable, Crix finally said. You've turned fear into love, danger into safety, predators into protectors. It wasn't easy or quick, Nathan replied. It took thousands of years and countless generations, but the result has enriched both species beyond measure. The presentation had given the aliens a new perspective on humanity. These weren't reckless beings who kept dangerous animals as status symbols. They were a species that had mastered the art of building bridges across the divide between predator and prey, creating something beautiful and unique in the process. As they prepared to leave the briefing room, neither alien could have predicted that they would soon witness firsthand just how powerful these interspecies bonds could be in a moment of crisis. The ground began to shake without warning. It started as a gentle tremor, barely noticeable, but quickly grew into violent jolts that knocked books from shelves and sent chairs sliding across the floor. "Earthquake!" Jake shouted, grabbing Crix to steady him as the alien stumbled. "Everyone, get under the tables!" The lights flickered and died, plunging the room into darkness before emergency lighting bathed everything in red. Alarm sirens wailed throughout the facility. The floor continued to buck and heave, making it difficult to move. Scout immediately pressed himself against Jake's legs, not out of fear, but in a protective stance. His ears were alert, and his body was tense, ready to respond to any threat. Luna, who had been sleeping on the windowsill, leaped down and darted toward Amy with surprising grace despite the shaking ground. "Follow earthquake protocols," Lisa called out, helping Vex crawl under a sturdy table. "Stay away from windows." The shaking seemed to last forever, though it was probably less than a minute. When it finally stopped, dust filled the air, and the sound of settling debris echoed through the building. "Is everyone okay?" Nathan asked, emerging from under his table. A chorus of confirmations came from around the room. The aliens looked shaken but unharmed. "Scout, check," Jake commanded. The German Shepherd immediately began moving around the room, sniffing carefully at each person. When he reached a section of wall that had partially collapsed, he barked twice. "He's indicating structural damage," Jake explained to the aliens. "We need to evacuate carefully." As they made their way toward the emergency exit, Amy suddenly stopped. "Where's Luna?" The cat was nowhere to be seen. Amy called her name, but there was no response. "We can't stay here," Lisa warned. "There could be aftershocks." "Wait," Amy said. Luna never runs far during emergencies. She might have found something. Just then, a faint meow echoed from down a darkened hallway. Luna appeared, meowing urgently and pawing at Amy's legs before turning and running back the way she came. "She wants us to follow her," Amy said. "Are you certain?" Crix asked. "Perhaps she's simply frightened." "No, this is different. Luna only acts like this when something's wrong." Against their better judgment, the group followed the cat down the hallway. The emergency lights cast eerie shadows, and debris littered the floor. Luna led them to a collapsed section where part of the ceiling had fallen. Luna sat in front of the rubble and meowed loudly, pawing at a specific spot. "Someone's under there," Amy realized. "Luna, good girl, show me where." The cat continued to paw at the same location. Jake brought Scout over. "Scout, find!" The dog immediately began sniffing around the debris. Within seconds, he started barking and digging at the same spot Luna had indicated. "Help me move this," Jake called out, starting to clear away chunks of concrete and twisted metal. Working together, humans and aliens cleared the debris. Underneath, they found Dr. Sarah Wells unconscious but breathing. Her leg was pinned under a fallen beam. "We need to be careful," Lisa warned. Moving her wrong could cause more damage. While the team worked to free Sarah, Scout positioned himself as a sentinel, his ears twitching at every sound. Suddenly, he barked sharply and pressed against Jake. "Aftershock incoming," Jake shouted. "Brace yourselves." Seconds later, another tremor hit. It wasn't as strong as the first, but it was enough to send more debris falling from the damaged ceiling. Scout had given them just enough warning to shield Sarah and protect themselves. When the aftershock passed, they resumed their rescue efforts. Luna stayed close to Sarah's head, occasionally licking her face as if trying to wake her. "The feline is providing comfort," Vex observed. "Even in this crisis, it maintains its protective behavior." Finally, they managed to free Sarah's leg. She groaned and opened her eyes. "What happened?" she mumbled. "Earthquake," Lisa explained. "Luna found you. Can you move your legs?" Sarah wiggled her toes. "I think so. Everything hurts, but I don't think anything's broken." With careful assistance, they helped Sarah to her feet. She leaned heavily on Nathan and Jake as they made their way to the emergency exit. Throughout their escape, Scout continued to alert them to dangers. He barked warnings before each aftershock, guided them around unstable areas, and even detected a gas leak in one corridor, allowing them to take a different route. Once outside, emergency responders were already arriving. The aliens watched in amazement as search and rescue dogs worked alongside their human partners, systematically checking the building for other survivors. "These animals," Crix said, "they're not just pets. They're partners in every sense of the word." Jake nodded, kneeling to hug Scout. "They're family, and family takes care of each other," a paramedic approached to check on Sarah. Luna refused to leave her side until Amy physically picked her up. "Your cat saved my life," Sarah told Amy. "If she hadn't found me, I might have been trapped there for hours." "That's what they do," Amy replied, stroking Luna's fur. "They protect their humans." As the chaos of the emergency response continued around them, Vex turned to Ambassador Crix. "I understand now why humans keep these predators close. They've transformed hunting instincts into protective instincts." "More than that," Crix replied, watching a search dog locate another survivor. "They've created a symbiotic relationship that enhances both species' ability to survive and thrive." The rescue operation continued through the afternoon. The aliens observed how the animals worked tirelessly alongside their human partners. Dogs located survivors buried in rubble, while cats seemed to have an uncanny ability to find people in need of comfort. "In our culture," Crix told Lisa, "we believed that keeping predators as companions was dangerous and foolish. We thought humans were taking unnecessary risks." "And now?" Lisa asked. "Now I see that you haven't tamed these predators. You've formed alliances with them. You've turned potential enemies into invaluable allies." As evening approached, the immediate danger, had passed. The facility had suffered significant damage, but thanks to the quick responses of both humans and animals, there were no serious casualties. Jake sat on a bench with Scout beside him, both exhausted from the day's events. The dog's head rested on Jake's lap, and Jake's hand absently stroked his fur. "You did good today, boy," Jake murmured. "Real good." Crix approached them slowly. "May I?" he asked, gesturing toward Scout. Jake nodded and Crix sat down on the other side of the dog. Hesitantly, he reached out and placed his hand on Scout's back. The dog's tail thumped once against the bench. "Thank you," Crix said softly to Scout. "You saved lives today, including mine." As if understanding, Scout lifted his head and licked Crix's hand. Nearby, Vex sat with Amy and Luna. The cat had finally calmed down and was purring in Vex's lap. "They knew," Vex said wonderingly. "Both animals knew there was danger before we did. They protected us without hesitation." "That's what love does," Amy replied simply. "It makes us protect those we care about, regardless of species." As night fell, the aliens prepared to return to their ship. They had witnessed something that challenged everything they thought they knew about interspecies relationships. The earthquake had shown them that the bond between humans and their animal companions wasn't just emotional or cultural. It was a practical partnership that could mean the difference between life and death. The predators that the Zentari had feared were revealed to be protectors, guardians, and heroes. And the humans who kept them weren't foolish or reckless. They were wise enough to recognize allies in unexpected forms. Tomorrow would bring new understanding, and a report that would change how the Zentari viewed not just humans, but the potential for cooperation between all species. 3 days had passed since the earthquake. The research facility was being repaired, but work continued in temporary buildings set up in the parking lot. Ambassador Crix and Vex had extended their stay, fascinated by what they had witnessed. This final morning, Crix stood in the makeshift courtyard, watching Jake play with Scout. The alien's posture had changed completely from when he first arrived. Gone was the rigid tension, the constant wariness. Now he observed the interaction between human and dog with understanding and appreciation. Slowly, deliberately, Crix walked toward them. Jake noticed and paused his game, while Scout sat attentively at his side. "Ambassador?" Jake greeted him warmly. "How can we help you?" Crix extended his hand toward Scout. The movement was careful but confident. "May I?" he asked. Jake smiled and nodded. "Scout, friend." The German shepherd sniffed Crix's hand, then surprised everyone by gently licking the alien's fingers. Crix didn't flinch or pull away. Instead, he moved his hand to stroke Scout's head, mimicking the gentle motions he had observed Jake using. "His fur is warm," Crix said softly. "And his eyes. They show intelligence, trust." "He knows you're a friend now," Jake replied. "Dogs are excellent judges of character." Vex approached with Amy and Luna. The cat was draped comfortably over Vex's shoulder, purring contentedly. "I never thought I would say this," Vex admitted, "but I will miss Luna when we leave. She has shown me that predators can be gentle, that strength can be used for protection rather than destruction." Lisa joined the group, carrying a tablet. "I have something to show you before you depart. It's the preliminary report from our seismology department about the earthquake." She displayed a chart showing seismic activity patterns. According to our data, animals throughout the city showed signs of distress approximately 12 minutes before the earthquake hit. Dogs were barking, cats were hiding, birds were fleeing. They sensed what our instruments couldn't detect. "Their senses are more acute than yours?" Crix asked. "In many ways, yes," Lisa confirmed. "They can detect subtle changes in air pressure, electromagnetic fields, and ground vibrations that our technology often misses." Nathan arrived with a small gift box. "We have something for you, Ambassador, a token of our appreciation for your open-mindedness." Inside the box were 2 items, a detailed sculpture of a dog and cat together and a data crystal. "The sculpture is to remember your visit," Nathan explained. The crystal contains our complete historical records of human-animal relationships, including thousands of personal stories, scientific studies, and cultural analyses. Crix accepted the gifts with genuine gratitude. These will be treasured, but more importantly, we will share what we've learned with our people. As they prepared for departure, Scout suddenly trotted over to Crix and sat directly in front of him. The dog lifted his paw in the air. "He wants to shake hands," Jake explained with a grin. "It's his way of saying goodbye." Crix knelt down and took Scout's paw in his hand. The gesture was simple but profound. An alien ambassador and an Earth predator, sharing a moment of mutual respect and understanding. "I came here afraid," Crix admitted. "I saw your relationship with predators as evidence of human recklessness. I leave with a completely different perspective." The group walked together to the landing pad where the Zentari ship waited. Along the way, they passed other staff members with their pets. Each animal received a gentle pat or word of acknowledgement from the aliens. Before boarding his ship, Crix turned to address the assembled humans. "On behalf of the Zentari Federation, I thank you for your patience and teaching. You have shown us something remarkable. Your species possesses a unique gift, the ability to see potential friends where others see only threats." Vex added, "We have learned that courage isn't about the absence of fear, but about building trust despite that fear. Your bonds with these animals represent the best of what sentient beings can achieve." As the ship's engines powered up, Scout barked once as if offering a final farewell. Luna meowed from Amy's arms. The sound wasn't threatening or aggressive. It was communication, pure and simple. The ship lifted off, carrying two changed minds back to their homeworld. Below, humans and their animal companions watched until the vessel disappeared into the clouds. 1 month later, Earth received an official communication from the Zentari Federation. The message was broadcast globally, to the people of Earth, following. Ambassador Crix's report. The Zentari Federation formally recognizes the unique achievement of human-animal relationships. We acknowledge that your ability to form bonds across species barriers represents an advanced form of emotional intelligence. We propose establishing a cultural exchange program focused on interspecies communication and cooperation. Your example has inspired us to reconsider our own relationships with the creatures of our world. Furthermore, we are revising our first contact protocols. Where we once saw the presence of predators as a warning sign, we now recognize it might indicate a civilization's capacity for empathy and understanding. The Zentari Federation looks forward to learning more from humanity's remarkable journey from fearing nature's hunters to embracing them as family. In friendship and admiration, the Zentari High Council. The message sparked celebrations across Earth. In homes and streets, people hugged their pets a little tighter, appreciating anew the miracle of their relationships. At the research facility, now fully repaired, Jake read the message aloud to his team. Scout listened attentively, his head tilted as if understanding every word. "You hear that, boy?" Jake said, scratching behind Scout's ears. "You're officially a galactic ambassador now." Scout's tail wagged enthusiastically, and across the room, Luna purred her approval from her favorite sunny spot. 6 months later, the first Zentari cultural exchange students arrived on Earth. Among their primary requests was to spend time with human families and their pets. Slowly but surely, fear gave way to understanding, and understanding blossomed into appreciation. In the years that followed, the story of humanity's relationship with predators spread throughout the galaxy. Other species began to examine their own fears and prejudices, wondering what friendships they might have missed. And on Earth, dogs continued to chase balls, cats continued to curl up in sunny windows, and humans continued to share their lives with the descendants of nature's most efficient hunters. The predators they had chosen as family remained at their sides, proving daily that love could indeed transform the fiercest hunter into the gentlest friend. The revolution hadn't happened overnight. It had taken thousands of years of patience, trust, and mutual respect. But in the end, Humanity had achieved something unique in the known universe. They had turned fear into love, danger into devotion, and predators into partners. As Jake often said while playing fetch with Scout in the evening sun, sometimes the most powerful force in the universe isn't technology or weapons. Sometimes it's just the simple act of seeing a friend where others see an enemy. And somewhere in the vast expanse of space, on a world called Zentar, discussions were beginning about a four-legged creature with gentle eyes that resembled something Earth called a dog. Perhaps they wondered it was time to stop running and start understanding. The legacy of humanity's courage in befriending predators had begun to change not just one world, but many. And it all started with the simple truth that love, trust, and understanding could bridge any gap, even between predator and prey.